He's happy to take Ari when she's this good.
Oh yeah, when a champion has a win rate such as Ari, I mean, you're going to pick it up. You're going to want to get that LP by picking that champion. It's just going to be working out. Lissandra going to be the second ban on the side of Immunity. Pretty standard, of course, that lockdown. Ridiculously powerful. Able to build a lot of damage there on that top side and just be invulnerable for what feels like way too long.
Yeah, actually a Paps flex pick as well. We saw him play in their second game, I believe, in round 1. So pretty interesting stuff, but another mage ban here.
Yeah, LeBlanc actually banned away from Cheese, which is interesting because he didn't have his greatest performance on that champion, but Sudden Fear really respecting the 100-0 potential. Yeah,
she's a great champion. Cheese, in his defense, looked comfortable on the champion, but it didn't really fit with what Immunity wanted to do, and he certainly looks much more at home on, his Xerath and, I guess, not Ziggs anymore.
Yeah, well, he would be comfortable in Ziggs, but if he gets his Swain, that's when things are going to look really dangerous, of course. One of my personal favorite picks there in the mid lane when he was playing for Your Soul Shell Chuffer towards the end of last year. Unfortunately, not going to be together anymore as Christmas Tree is looking for the first lock in here, cycling over the Kassadin and the Janna. 2 power picks to come in and maybe deciding on the Kassadin. It's a powerful pick.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. It's power picks here. You have to be very careful with how you draft, especially on the blue side. And Jarvan's still open as well. So is Rumble, by the way, a big JK Smithy champion.
Yeah.
So Sudden Fear have a very hard choice to make here. My gut tells me that Kassadin's probably the best pick in this situation because he's so strong, but Sudden Fear, you can see them hovering back and forth. I don't quite know what they want to go for yet.
Yeah, and the Kassadin, a flex pick as well. You can take it wherever you want, considering on the enemy team comp as well, so Christmas Trees can be picking that one up if you'd like to, but we shall see. Has actually played that before, played it in the OCS on his way up.
Yeah, I mean, Kassadin is a very strong champion, and Sudden Fear, they make the right choice, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, picking up that really, really strong Kassadin, and we might see it in the hands of Christmas Trees again, but couldn't put it past Apaps. And the other thing as well is that LeBlanc ban may have been because he couldn't deal with Choo-Choos on that LeBlanc, knows that Cheese can play it, and might take advantage of it yet again.
That's true. I mean, LeBlanc might just be good against his champion pool as well, so that would make sense if he wants to ban it out. And again, Cheese has a very, very competent mid lane player. He can play LeBlanc, just prefers a bit more of the comfort. It's kind of funny to me that we saw the Janna hover as well. I almost think that if Sudden Fear had picked Janna, that would be actually an advantage for Immunity, because then they couldn't give it to T-Gun.
Oh my goodness, just a little bit of follow-up from some interesting Twitter conversations here coming through from Sudden Fear. And we'll see whether T-Gun has fire in his eyes here. Of course, Immunity haven't hit the rift just yet, and T-Gun, when he's on form, he's terrifying.
Yeah, and not to say that he hasn't had good Janna games, he certainly has, but he seems, again, much more comfortable when he's on these engaged supports. That's kind of the theme of Immunity here. They love playing comfortably.
In fact, when T-Gun was coming through the OCS, he was 2-0 on Janna, so things not going too badly up until they managed to make it into the OPM.
I mean, Janna just sort of cements your team into doing a very specific thing, and T-Gun's a very aggressive support player, and you have to play a certain style as well. He's more about getting engages and picks, and less about a lot of control and more reactive play.
Yeah, and when he's shot calling as well from that support role, it's so much easier to say, I'm going for an engage, let's do it, as opposed to quickly you engage now. You don't need to get through that extra cerebral activity from your teammates.
Yeah, you can only do so much work with Captain and Chan, unfortunately, trying to get your team in there. But the draft's actually developed quite a bit. Immunity, I do like these first 2 picks.
Yeah, Immunity actually picking up the Sivir here for Uberbro has had a lot of success on that champion, dating back even to autumn of last year, but even just recently, Sivir seeing so much more play, and Zahi on a very comfortable job.
Yeah, and maybe the same here for Pink Burmy as well. And of course, everyone's favorite Aurelia, which will actually give Paps the Kassadin.
Yeah, so Apap's going to take that Kassadin in the mid lane. That is quite interesting, actually, because Christmas Trees has had so much comfort, and they didn't have to lock away that top laner and really solidify those roles this early in the draft. Do you think this was a mistake?
I mean, potentially. JK Smithy is a very big Aurelia player, and
Aurelia
is a very good blind pick right now. And again, Immunity, the theme of comfort here, don't want to give JK Smithy make him too comfortable. The other thing as well is that he's a big Rumble player, and this is a really good blocker pick against Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about Aurelia being a good blocker for now, but it works just as well against Rumble. Yeah, that's true too, but I mean, I think JK Smithy, again, he'll go into Aurelia, and just denying it here kind of shreds his champion pool, because he's kind of left with what we've seen to play Renekton.
Yeah, or Malphite.
I mean, yeah, Malphite definitely not very good against Kassadin.
No.
You have a lot of troubles when he starts pushing you in, so he might be going for it. I think
he's got sort of a poor man's Rift Warp, doesn't he? That unstoppable force on a larger cooldown, but covers about the same distance.
Very expensive, actually. That's like the high roller rift walk, man.
Yeah.
We don't get to do that one.
Although if you
often.
stack up that rift walk, it becomes pretty expensive anyway. But let's stop talking about that as T-Gun's actually going to lock away the Janna. So he fell for the taunt on the side of Sudden Fear.
I mean, potentially, John is very good with Severe, so it does make some sense. We talk about Graves Johnny being good with flat AD. Severe has a lot of that as well with her wave push, so it does make some sense here. I actually don't mind the Malphite for JK Smithy. It's not that bad. It's a very safe, even against a champion like Cassidy. You're just worried about maybe being pushed in, and then from that point, getting dived.
Yeah, that's true. It is difficult, and he'll have to play really far back in that lane as well, because Cassidy, if he has a lane that's working out for him, just can be such a bully up there, as well as Enfamoon looking for a champion here, has hovered over that Corki, and Enfamoon, another one of these players that's really good on these short-range AD carries.
And of course, I got tricked, by the way. It is actually Aurelia that will be in the top lane, which is an interesting matchup.
Both of us got very confused.
That one's much more even. I feel like the attack speed diva could cause a couple of problems, but Aurelia does have a lot of play in that lane as well.
Yeah, so now that that's come through, that makes a whole lot more sense. You are correct. Thank goodness. Oh, man. If you weren't here, I would have been entirely lost. As Brawler going to pick up Leona here for the second time around. Normally favors a lot of these disengaged supports, but now going for this Leona, you can, of course, peel really, really well on that champion, but able to make some plays here as well, and we've seen that coming out of the likes of Egypt.
Oh, we really have, and with their Corki in here as well, I feel like supports are often informed by which ADs their carry players want to play, and with a lot of short-range aggressive AD carries being popular, Graves, Corki, and I guess Sivir to a lesser extent as well, and Kalista, of course.
Oh, yeah.
A champion like Leona is just much more popular, and not less viable, but just fits a lot more with what you want to be doing in those sorts of lanes.
And oh my goodness.
Oh, he does it!
It's the promised land, ladies and gentlemen, as Cheese has locked in the Swain, the classic comfort pick, and I am so excited for this game. Of course, shades of the Your Soul Shall Chuffer days to come through, and they have a lot of area lockdown here. What with Cataclysm, Never Move, plus that Unstoppable Force, there is huge wombo coming through from Team Immunity, and that might be a little bit of the sort of the injection of Little Cutie Cheese flavor here. Of course, loving that wombo combo when he was on the side of Your Soul Shall Chuffer.
I mean, it's funny as well, like for all the nostalgia here that Cheese is giving us with this pick, he's a massive Swain player, kind of the OG Swain. It's actually quite a good lane matchup here against Cassidy. What's Cassidy going to do? Rift walk in front of you? Okay, fine. Like, you trade really well early on. It's melee versus range already where Cassidy can struggle in the early levels. Torment's amazing for trading auto attacks, even when Cassidy has his W on. You're really good at harassing him. If he stays in his creeps to farm, your W does a lot of work, and you can really pressure him. And what, he rift walks, you pop your ulti. Okay, we'll see who wins. I think it's me, says the Swain.
Yeah, just rift walk onto my face, we'll see what you're going to do. So I really like the pickup as well, and you mentioned it with the Torment here. Swain has one of the highest level 1 damage potentials in the game.
I mean, he's got a very high damage potential in general, and that's exactly where I was going to go next. We talked about, again, the first draft Immunity ever did in the OPL. Little bit shaky. Even this draft is very clever. To have JK Smithy, a big tank player, come into your team and, you know, want to be a more of a comfort champion, Swain actually works very well in tank-based lineups because he does so much damage from the mid lane.
Oh, yeah.
We always want, when you have 2 damage threats, and that's often what happens when you pick a tank, you want to make sure they do a lot of damage. Swain, he does a lot of damage.
Yep, Swain's definitely got it covered here. And Sivir in the hands of Uberbro. Uberbro has showed a whole lot of power on that champion as well.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of fun going on here. I do like, again, the Janna as well here for T-Gun. We actually did have kind of an interesting tweet come through earlier on in the day between these two teams. Sudden Fear had some pretty choice words.
Yeah, they did.
For T-Gun and his Janna. And T-Gun said, it's a pretty interesting thing. I dare you to leave it up, referring to the Janna. Guess what happened, guys? I left up the Janna.
Yeah, and this is after Sudden Fear really sort of had a go at T-Gun here for his ability to play Janna, and now T-Gun has a chance to answer back, and he's actually had a fantastic record on that champion as well. He's 2-0 coming through the OCS. Of course, didn't manage to pick up a win in his game on Janna yesterday, but, you know, I mean, last week, sorry, but things looking good so far.
I mean, yeah, as I said, it doesn't suit his traditional playstyle of being aggressive, but T-Gun has not had bad Janna games by any stretch of the imagination. He's very creative with his ultimates. He can definitely play the champion. He has the skill to play it. It's just something that we tend to not see him play him up, but I like it in this lane a lot. He can still be aggressive here, using Uber to push really nicely, and I think, I mean, he almost had to pick it after that. That's some good style there from T-Gun.
Yeah, he may have been a little bit baited here. Maybe it's all a ploy on the side of Sudden Fear, trying to get him rattled, get him onto a champion that they know how to get rid of. But it's Janna. She's just, you know, one of those champions that's often banned because she's so versatile. And if anyone's going to find a way to play Janna in an assertive manner, in a way of playing aggressively, it's going to be T-Gun. He's going to be flashing into the enemy team and monsooning members out. That's going to be his play.
Yeah, we have seen that from Janna players as well. Mata, of course, a very famous Korean Janna player.
Yeah.
Very well known for when he gets ahead, especially getting aggressive with his Janna. I would be shocked if T-Gun didn't buy Magize this game, by the way. I'm sure it's coming. In fact, we didn't show the whole string because it's a little too long, but J.K. Smithy's response to that tweet from Tegan after all of the sudden fear back and forth was Magize, boys. So he clearly knows what's going on here. T-Gun's going to be looking for it. But I actually like what Sudden Fear have done with their combo. So it's kind of funny that Aurelia does do a bit more damage than Malphite, but they've got 2 high damage mid laners that do need to scale, 2 aggressive junglers as well, and kind of 2 mid-range AD carries.
Yeah, it's sort of like they've matched each other's comp here. But Sudden Fear, do you think that they've probably got the advantage here in the late side of the game just because this Cassidy and Aurelia are going to get huge? I
mean, Sivir does drop off a little bit. You can set up good teamfights with Java and Malphite and Swain, and especially with Janna to help peel for us. So there's a lot of play, but Immunity this game, especially when you play Janna, you need to control the map very well. That's a lot of what she brings to the table because she's less good at engaging because she's not an engaged support. So it's hard to say. I feel like when you play a champion like Cassidy against Janna, you have an innate advantage because one of Janna's biggest advantages of keeping people off your carries doesn't really work against Lysandra Cass, which is why we see so many of those champions. It's hard to say, but I feel like with the mid lane matchup looking good for Cheese there with his Swain into the Cassidy and J.K. Smithy being very comfortable, in fact, the rest of Immunity really being very comfortable, if Zahe gets work done here, and that's always a big barometer for Immunity as a team, they're going to look good here. And it's just a matter of how aggressive do they want to be.
Yeah, and Zahi often picking up these sort of high-pressure junglers, like you were saying, like the Vi, like the Lee Sin, and now on the Jarvan, definitely no stranger to those sort of early skirmishes, and we'll see whether we're going to see more skirmishes sabers being picked up as well.
Yeah, we actually had a surprising amount already just to kick off this round of the OPL. We saw Shelby earlier today as well from Avant. He's him and Zahi play very similarly, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Zahi try and get aggressive and make plays on this Jarvan. But Immunity, with the way they like to play, and their comp does allow them to do this to a degree, I think they just want to play relatively safe, make sure they get the first dragon, and then start snowballing through the mid-game. And Sudden Fear, they could get aggressive here. Corki, in fact, this mid-game is going to be very important. Watch for that second dragon fight, because that's a big power spike for a lot of the champions of both these teams.
Yeah, it's going to be coming through for everyone here. And with 2 Trinity Force users on the side of Sudden Fear, it's very hard not to give it to them. But when you've got the likes of Swain, who's going to have that Rod of Ages very early on, going to be having that stack through, might have a trough somewhere around that dragon area, could be a little bit dangerous, but we are going to be hopping onto the Rift very, very shortly. In fact, right now, as Sudden Fear going to be taking on Immunity. Sudden Fear on our blue side and Immunity on the red. And I'm very interested to see how this game unfolds, just with how these team lineups have sorted themselves out and who's going to have the dominant stages of this game.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned the trough there as well in the mid lane. We are going to be seeing that from both Cassidy and Swain here. So if either of them get any sort of reasonable advantage, we actually could see Cheese maybe even get more aggressive with his build or just play more aggressively. He's a very aggressive player in general, which is kind of funny for a player that likes long-range champions, but if he can kill you, he wants to go in. And on a champion like Swain, he definitely wants to kill Apex here.
Yeah, and Cheese is interesting because it's not necessarily like he's got a certain play style that he likes to play. He does like team fighting champions. That is definitely his flavor, but he just has his comfort picks and loves to play those. Orianna, Xerath, Swain, these sort of picks, he just feels really good on. Maybe not so much that LeBlanc, and we saw him on the Xerath last week. And things are going great now. Yeah,
I mean, Cheese has become a very well-rounded player. He's actually been around the scene for quite a while, and he, of course, as you mentioned, was playing on your social shuffle before, which he's done a little while. So it does a little bit of dance for us. Just to he actually quite likes dancing on his champions. I've noticed that as a fun fact for you all at home. Cheese, it's just become a very strong player. We talked about his LeBlanc, looked very competent here, but he does have his personal picks that he likes, and you're absolutely right. He's a big team fighter, and if Immunity are going to win this game, they're going to have a lot of really strong mid-game team fights, because that's where they excel, not just with the comp that they've picked, but with the way they like to play League of Legends.
Yeah, true. And as we see this game unfold, of course, it looks like standard lanes to come through as the Krug's going to be started up here for Sudden Fear. Pink Bomi going to be starting on his red side, and the blue side start for Zahi as he's going to start off on that Gromp.
It is the Grump.
He's not grumpy. He's absolutely fine.
He's just
bottom lane's just going to be standard.
Yeah, and we're going to have the junglers actually end up on the same side of the map. Sorry. I feel like the kill pressure only is really in the sudden fear lane, so probably not going to get too much action. But the bottom lane's super interesting to me. If Uberbro can get early and really start harassing down these waves, he's got a good advantage. In fact, Corki into Civ is a little weird. I guess they counterpicked here, because Civ traditionally does very well in this matchup. The spell shield makes it very easy to kind of dodge Phosphorus Bomb. Use a lot of mana trying to wave clear against Civ with Corki, because you can only use your spells. So if Immunity's bottom lane play this right, they should have no troubles here in this lane.
Yeah, not to mention if Uberbro does go aggressive here onto Emphamoon, he can use that Fleet of Foot passive to really make sure that it's difficult for Emphamoon to hit all of those skill shots that Corki relies on for his damage.
Yeah, and it's funny as well. The other awkward thing, I guess, about this lane is that after all of the talk that Sunfi kind of had on Twitter with the Janna, picking Brawler picking Leona into Janna is a little awkward, because that's one of the few champions that really shuts down a lot of Leona's harder initiation. Yeah,
and looks like a Pink Bomi actually paid a visit here to the mid side of the map, respecting Cheese and his ability to put pressure onto Apaps here in the mid side. And Swain, a little bit susceptible to ganks.
Absolutely susceptible to ganks. He's a little immobile except for his flash. He does high damage, but without his ultimate especially, it's hard for him to survive. He can't really 2v1 at the lower level. So Cheese, again, he wants to play aggressively, especially against a melee champion like Kassadin. So really smart pressure there from Pink Bomi. But I like the response from Zahi as well.
Yeah, coming around and really putting pressure down on this blue buff side. Not going to have any vision as team immunity, but a Pink Bomi playing very defensively, has to respect the early game potential of this Jarvan, who's at a far higher amount of health than a Pink Bomi is. But talking about susceptible to ganks, a pre-6 Kassadin, pretty susceptible too.
Yeah, Kassadin's one of those champions that a lot of players like to pressure, and Zara's going in.
Yeah, the slow actually going to land the flash already coming out here. Apaps takes so much damage from that passived up auto attack from Zahi. And nice trade of flashes here from our junglers.
And this is actually one of the really sick kind of ganking pairs, I guess. Jarvan with a lot of damage adds very well to Swain, who already does a lot of damage early on, but Zoe's maybe going in again.
Yeah, looking for something. He's going to get spotted by that ward, and Sudden Fear are going to back off very, very quickly. A little bit of a telltale manner, so Team Immunity going to know that there is vision available. As Zahi, he might be coming back.
It'd be a good place to go back. Kassadin very intelligently is already recalling. That is going to potentially put Paps behind, and he's already falling behind in CS. But Jarvan Swain is very scary. You have two really good CCs, and you both add good damage to a gank. One of the things there that you almost saw is that Paps basically had no good choices of where to flash, because if Jarvan's coming on the top of you, you flash back, and you just never move behind him.
Yeah.
And now he does no flash, so he has no good choices left.
Yeah, so pretty much it's dead, and that's why he's decided instead that he wants to go back to base. An intelligent decision, but it is going to put Cheese a little bit further ahead here. As Zahi just going to pay another visit, and it looks like a little bit reminiscent to the old Chiefs playstyle. Is beautiful Howling Gale from T-Gun to stop that Zenith Blade, and man, Sudden Fear eating their words already.
Yeah, a little bit T-Gun getting it going here on Johnny. So I'm actually pretty aggressively towards the mid early on. So I think T-Gun, he's definitely a confident, maybe a bit of a prideful player as well. He definitely wears his heart on his sleeve when he plays, and that's going to be apparent here in this game as well.
And JK Smithy actually having his way with Christmas trees here on the top side of the map just a little bit. Both of these members having their flasks. And the CS advantage actually going to be in favor here. It's all the knock-up to come through. Apaps is only level 4. Cheese manages a beautiful bait. And Zahi manages to get an assist as well. Beautiful first blood from Immunity.
Yeah, expertly played there by the mid lane. I talked about the gank combination that these two can give in. The Swain range slow sets up so much CC. And from that point, especially with no flash and pre-6, Kassadin has absolutely nothing he can do when he's that far forward.
And this is so little Cutie Cheese as well. Has the Blasting Wand as the first component of that Rod of Ages. Doesn't want that Catalyst. He needs more damage.
And we've seen this a lot, actually, from Rod of Ages champions. You just get a lot more value out of it if you can afford it early. So why not skip the Catalyst and just try and get a bit more aggressive?
Yeah, as JK Smith is going to take a lot of damage from these Transcendent Blades. Christmas Tree is going to pop that hidden style, but a little bit too long to wait on the Blade Surge, and JK Smithy's going to be okay. Has that teleport available as well, so he can get back to lane, but is he going to need to hold that for early Dragon potential? There's another Howling Gale to come through and stop Roller. He flashes forward to get the Shield of Daybreak. T-Gun gets completely focused out, ignited here as well, as Emphamoon dodges out of the way of the first hit of that boomerang, and that may have even saved his life.
Yeah, touch late on the spell shield there is unfortunate for Uberbro, so going to be a little low on mana to push this wave out. Very smart pressure from a Pink Bomi, and T-Gun, who was getting aggressive down that lane, was forced to use his flash.
Yeah, but it looks like Sudden Fear looking to focus that Janna just a little bit. And Cheese, his spidey senses tingling here. Zahi may have actually caught out a Pink Bomi from the outside, as they do have a pink ward there in that brush. And Cheese wisely not approaching that minion wave too close.
Yeah, Cheese's flash is back up as well very soon, so it's going to be a pretty hard gank here, especially now that Swain is 6 and Cassidy can't realistically fight him. The top lane, we saw a big trade there as well. That's a very interesting matchup. I was thinking about it a little bit more, and it's actually quite complex. And if anyone would have good knowledge of that matchup, it's JK Smithy, who's both a strong Malphite and Aurelia player. You saw that JK Smithy was winning the lane early on by maxing that E, the ground slam, because Aurelia doesn't have very many good options, but as soon as Aurelia gets her ultimate and has access to more spells, so she can do damage with and wait out the attack speed slow, she started to tip it. In fact, you saw it as soon as that happened. Christmas Trees went aggressive and was able to get JK Smithy low and force him to actually walk back to lane. Didn't use the teleport.
Yeah, so making sure that they still have that teleport to threaten a potential early dragon here on the side of Team Immunity. And you were talking about how these dragons are going to be very, very important as the Ravenous Flock to come through from Cheese as well. Gets so much damage onto Apex with that Torment. Swain does so much damage over time.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. You can't really out-DPS the Swain, especially with a blue buff here. And Cheese is really pressuring. He forces the Riftwalk there very smart. And if Paps has to do that a few more times without Riftwalk, he's going to go very swiftly.
Yeah, and doesn't even have that Catalyst completed as well, relying on that Flask for his mana regen. And a Cassidon without any mana is just useless in that mid lane.
Not the best Cassidon here, and I was expecting Immunity to counter jungle, but it seems like they're not going to quite get the blue buff here, although it's not quite back up yet. If they have the timer down, they can either steal or do the really smart thing and go for Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon is available, and T-Gun has got a decent amount of vision around near that one. Of course, vision available for Sudden Fury as well. And so far, this early game been relatively close. I mean, apart from that kill in the mid lane, taking advantage of a lack of flash, things sort of stagnating just slightly, and neither team deciding to make that decisive move. And we'll see who goes for that dragon, who starts that one off, who goes for the next big play to see really what these teams are made of in these team fights. Because I myself am very interested to see how these comps go up against each other in these early fights.
Well, Immunity's lanes so far are looking very good. In fact, it's pretty even across the board, with the exception of mid lane, which is going pretty heavily in favor of Immunity at this point. Unfortunately, they just missed their really good dragon timing. Paps does have blue now, so the lane's a bit more manageable. Although he's forcing himself to max Q quite heavily here, isn't able to really counter push here. And that's a problem against the Swain.
Oh, yeah, and just being able to use that never move every single time to force a Riftwalk. And you can see, this blue, in fact, has a blue buff and still running out of mana.
Yeah, I mean, casting the Riftwalk stacks up. That's sort of its big drawback now, and he can only do that so many times before he goes zoom. And again, Immunity did miss that first dragon, but Cheese doesn't care.
Yeah, he's right underneath that turret. The Ignite's onto him, manages to pick up the kill. Sonic Wave Resonating Strike to get the answer as Pink Bomi comes through. Zahi does have a level advantage on him and a bit of health here as well, but look, Cheese is going to be saying worth after that one.
I mean, he'll be happy for sure, getting so aggressive for that solo queue and playing it very well under the turret. Cassidon, and nothing he can do despite burning all of the summoners. Well, Cheese, to be fair, burnt all of his as well. Really nice gank there from Pink Bomb. He's nailing that Q to finish up the kill. And Zahi, unfortunately, was a little bit behind on the counter gank timing.
Yeah, JK Smithy able to trade relatively well here with Christmas Trees. He's going to head back. Has that Sheen. And what do you think about that as a sort of first big buy here as far as that Trinity Force component against a Malphite?
It's actually exceptional against Malphite, and I could see in your face what you're alluding to. Malphite's all about getting that shield popped early so that you can actually get aggressive onto it, and Sheen pretty much does that instantly once you have enough levels in Blade Surge.
So Christmas Trees doing well here on this top side. Zahi and a Pink Bomi looking to try and impact this lane, put it in one direction or another. Unstoppable Force is available. A massive burst of CC as a Pink Bomi's going to find him here. Sonic Wave Resonating Strike. Zahi not going to be there in time as Unstoppable Force not going to come out, and Zahi didn't even come all the way around.
Yeah, Pink Bomi actually went for a little bit of a ride there. Actually kind of rode on top of the Malphite as he tried to ult out, but managed to follow him and get the kill. And there's the Malphite problem. You can reduce a lot of attack speed. You're a great anti-carry tank, but when you have that many spells, especially the Sheen there for Aurelia, Lee Sin coming in for the damage, nothing really that JK Smith can do, but did hold on to his flash.
Yeah, not too bad. Just using that ultimate instead. So Flash Unstoppable Force is an option here for the first big engage. And Immunity, they're not going to be too phased by this, you could imagine, of course. Unstoppable Force and Ground Slam are definitely going to come out from JK Smithy, regardless of how many items he has. As Brawler actually going to go very aggressive. There's, in fact, going to be the Solar Flare onto Uber Bro, forced to use that Flash. Nice exhaust onto Amphomoon, but Immunity sort of getting bullied out of this bottom lane.
Yeah, good aggressive play there from Tegan, but the Sheen Corki is starting to do work in this bottom lane matchup, and when you don't dodge the bomb, it's a problem, but Cheese in trouble.
Yeah, Resonating Strike to come through here as well. The flash into the kick, and Cheese, the Ravenous Flock doing so much work. The Never Move to come down as well. Can he turn it around? Resonating Strike says no, and a Pink Bomi able to tank up that turret.
But you can see the power of Swain there. Almost pulls off the 1v2 in the mid lane there, getting both the mid lane and the jungler very low, but Sudden Fear very clever. Force Cheese out and try and force the dragon.
Yeah, JK Smithy's teleporting into this dragon pit, but doesn't have his ultimate available. A Pink Bomi very, very low as T-Gun's just going to harass Emphamoon out here. And Sudden Fear, they may have to get out of here as Brawler doesn't have his flash, can't get over. Oh, it does actually have his flash, can get over that wall as JK Smithy just going to bully Emphamoon out here. And this dragon going down very low. Pink Bomi's going to be around here. They may be able to pick up this dragon, and they are.
Very smart dragon. They waited very patiently. Pink Bomi, though, in trouble.
Oh, the Howling Gale for the kill. There's actually the ult over the wall here from JK Smithy. He might be able to find Brawler as the Eclipse does proc. Uber Broke found his way back in. There's the ultimate, actually, because he flashed over the wall and picks up Brawler. Beautiful play from Immunity, but Dragon went to Sudden Fear.
Yeah, he had about a quarter of the ulti timing there when he came into that fight and was waiting for so long, hoping that it would come back up before the Dragon went down. Immunity do rotate nasty to take a turret for it, but Sudden Fear, a bit of a dangerous Dragon, but Bomi hung around just long enough to make sure they could get it.
Yeah, and they're putting pressure on the mid side as well. Immunity may be able to pick up 2 turrets for that Dragon, and you have to say that is definitely worth, especially at this stage of the game where that 6% stats doesn't mean quite as much.
Yeah, really good trade there from Immunity. They'll be totally fine to give away just one dragon here for what happened. Cheese, with all the pressure, was able to assert mid lane. She got that tower so low and just whacked it to death. He also knows his Rod of Ages, so this Swain, not that strong now, although looking pretty scary. Going to be very scary in 10 minutes' time.
Oh yeah, and you can imagine when he manages to pick up that Zhonya's Hourglass as well. Already making aggressive plays, he's going to be able to make those plays and survive.
And he needs to be the one as well. I'm actually wouldn't be that surprised to see Zahe maybe go a bit more aggressive in his build. It's a bit dangerous because if you run in as Jav and blow up, you don't really do your job for your team. But Cheese is going to be doing plenty of damages, tanking up plentifully and also doing good damage. If Zahe did want to get a bit more aggressive with his build, he could. But right now, just going very utility. The Trailblazer plus the Warrior and a Sightstone.
Yeah, meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, we don't have the Trinity Force quite yet available for Emphamoon. Still just under 1,000 gold, and he is going to finish that one up for himself, as Apap's going to pick up himself a blue buff. JK's going to continue trying to beat down these creeps, and that ground sound really starting to do some work here on Christmas Trees, who may not be able to go toe-to-toe. The Transcendent Blades to come through, getting a lot of health back here, but he's forced out as a Pink Bomi is going to come around. It was a bait the whole time from Christmas Trees, and JK Smithy going to have to be very careful. Oh my goodness, the ultimate is so close to being up, but Apaps came from round the side and picks up the kill. That was just a matter of seconds.
Yeah, even Bro forced about the ulti there as well. Could be in trouble, goes in.
Beautiful spell shield actually here from Uberbro as well, as the On The Hunt has been popped. Emphamoon unable to get the damage back, and T-Gun asserts his dominance as he comes in just at the right time.
Yeah, really nice 2v1 there by Immunity. A little bit too aggressive there from Emphamoon, thinking you could get the 1v1. Got close, but T-Gun swooped in nicely, and Cheese is still going in the mid lane.
Brawler with Eclipse running still takes about half of his health bar from that Torment, plus the Laser Bird. Really, really beautiful play from this Swain. 106 CS to 66. 40 CS in the lead at this 15-minute mark. And that has to be playing on the minds of the community. They must be feeling great about this. It's such an emotional team.
Yeah, Kassadin as well. That Rod of Ages has been heavily delayed by Cheese, although Bomi wants in.
Yeah, actually, Bo's going to land here as Sonic Wave going to be answered upon, and Solarflare going to be flashed out of here as Monsoon comes through from T-Gun just to try and split this one up. A Pink Bomi gets ignited and killed as Apaps comes in. Brawler tries to make something of this, but Cheese, he's got so much mana. There's a shield from T-Gun as well. They turn it around, and Sudden Fear are melting to this bird. Look at the Never Move about to come up here. That's going to lock down Brawler. He's going to fall. A triple kill.
And what
for
a
Cheese.
sick play by Immunity there as well. That's why you don't try and 1v2 a Swain. T-Gun used his cooldowns perfectly there in that fight to keep Cheese alive, and that's all he needed to just wipe the floor with Sudden Fear.
That was beautiful, and you can see why Little Cutie Cheese, or Cheese now, draws so many bans on this unconventional champion. It is beautiful to watch.
And it's so good against Sudden Fear's combo as well. Let's see see it again. So watch Cheese here. He goes in. Pink Bomby does a lot of damage, but T-Gun, a good knockup, delays Patch for longer, and that ult basically saves the rest of Cheese's life here. Pink Bomby so weak, can't actually duel the Cheese, and I think he actually levels up in the middle of this fight. Brawler goes back in. Pap's like, I don't think I could do enough damage. Shield here from T-Gun, so key to make sure they all went down, and then Brawler can literally do nothing against this Swain.
Yeah, and as soon as Apaps came into that fight, the exhaust went down, and Cheese just the perfect amount of mana in order to sustain through everything, and Immunity just made it look easy.
They really did, and that was without blue buff as well, kind of like you mentioned. So this Swain is going off here, 5-2-0 for Cheese here. The new addition, of course, to Immunity's roster. Hasn't played too many games with them, but back on a comfort pick here in Swain. We talk about Immunity's comfort. Didn't really expect this to happen, but it's working out very well.
And one thing that I haven't actually thought about here is JK Smithy plus Cheese here on this Swain. Their team fight potential is huge. Just Uberbro, unfortunately, misses the flash over the wall, and Sudden Fear, they get a pick.
Yeah, saw Cheese going in for the 1v3. Thought he might try a 1v4, but Sivir, unfortunately, not so good at that particular fight.
No, you can ricochet over a whole bunch of people before you die instantly.
I mean, decent damage out, but the Corki Trinity Force being done now really just means that Uberbro has no business being in sort of these lanes. He wants a split push if he can, but even with the IE done for Uberbro, Corki's power spike is now, and this next Dragon's a very tricky one for Immunity to contest. You mentioned the double Trinity Force spike that was going to come through Atlas. It's come through right now.
Yeah, JK Smithy only has that Sunfire Cape for a little bit of an extra clear in early game stats. Doesn't have the Frozen Heart, which he really, really wants to deal with this Aurelia, and a little bit Amphamoon here as well. But he is going to become a tanky beast. Yeah,
and I was going to mention the Sunfire Cape earlier. Actually, a very good pick that comes through here in this matchup. Pretty much all of Malphite's damage is based on, oh, never mind, Paps.
Oh, Paps is in so much trouble. Rift Walk or no Rift Walk. Cheese is going to pick up the kill. That Torment tearing him apart. And T-Gun just following around this Swain just knows that this is where I can get some Magi stacks.
Exactly. He wants some assists here. The Magi's boys is starting now. The dream could be real here for T-Gun as he looks to, again, maybe throw a few of those words back over Twitter as well. And Immunity are actually going to start up their first Dragon now.
Yeah, this could be the last time that anyone baits T-Gun because, of course, his reaction is to win the game considerably, although not over yet. Things looking fantastic so far in this mid-game as Immunity. They pick up the first Dragon for themselves after Sudden Fear had a fantastic rotation over to that before. And Christmas Tree's trying now to answer with a top turret.
Yeah, to pick up a Dragon when the enemy team has Aurelia Corki that have finished their Trinity Force is pretty insane. And Zahi.
Brawler, you have gotten caught, my friend, as JK Smithy actually coming around from out the side. Uberbro going to spot that spell shot. Oh, the dodge from Amphamoon was beautiful, and the Cataclysm was just flashed out of the way of as well from a Pink Bomby. They're trying to turn this one around. Christmas Tree's immediately getting exhausted as Uberbro pops the on the hunt. Apaps now sneaking around, wants to try and get some Force Pulses across this team. And Amphamoon looking for his way back in, but unable to find it. Uberbro, big burst of damage from Apaps, but I think that they might be safe here as Immunity back away. Oh, Apaps going so deep onto this as Amphamoon, there's the Trinity Force proc. Zahi getting torn apart. Apaps gets a follow-up kill.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to bait in with the spells there from Uberbro with the spell shield and the heal, but unfortunately Zahi got maybe a little baited there by his team, and you can see what happens when Kassadin doesn't have items. Even then he was doing decent amounts of damage, but the fact that he's now really just starting to stack that Rod of Ages means that if he was ahead at this point, Uberbro would not have survived any of those combos.
Oh, no. And Zahi's actually picking up a really intelligent item here. Aegis of the Legion has been finished. Almost that locket as T-Gun's getting aggressed on. It's a beautiful Monsoon. Flashes out of the way, but it's not enough as Amphamoon picks up the kill.
Cheese coming in, though. This could be massive.
Oh, goodness. He's right in amongst his creep wave as well. Doesn't have that much mana. Flashes on top of Apaps. There's the never move for the cool guys. Don't look at explosions, and Kassadin just gets destroyed. Christmas Trees wants to try his hand at this, but I don't think it's a good idea as Brawler. Oh, buddy, you're in an unfortunate position. Decides to go in, but he's definitely dead as JK Smithy picks up a much-deserved kill after making some cool plays.
And unfortunately, T-Gun loses the stacks there in the mid lane.
Oh, no.
Didn't get any of the assists in that last exchange as well, so the Magi's boys' dream being dampened a little there, unfortunately, by Sudden Fear. And good play for them to pick up kills, but this win is terrifying. If he was in that last fight, by the way, things just... Chevron Fee could never win that fight. And I didn't think about it until we saw it then, but actually being able to on the hunt a Swain's actually quite good.
Oh, it's terrifying. You can get birds going at everyone at all times. Plus, that never move often has this really annoying range where you want to be able to get it just that little bit further out. Having that extra movement speed is huge here for little Cutie Cheese. And if anyone can capitalize, it's this guy. He's the Swain master.
He is, and as is the case with a lot of these high DPS mages, they're often quite short range, so being able to keep Swain in the fight for as long as possible, because of course his ultimate Ravenous Fox heals much better off champion than it does minions. If he can stay in the fight longer and stick to enemies, basically like a melee mage, Swain pays off much more as far as the damage goes, and he's now done with that Zhonya's.
Yeah, he's finished that one up, and these are the two items that Cheese needs to be the Swain that he wants to be, because he just turns gold in the middle of these fights. The birds keep going out. They keep healing him back up as well. He can dive under a turret. He can do whatever he likes. And there is almost nothing Sudden Fear can do about it apart from run the hell away.
Yeah, and that's kind of going to be their job here. Paps is in a big trouble, though. That needless to dodge helps a lot in terms of his damage output. So Uberbro has to be a bit more careful now. But even against Sivir, Kassadin's a little awkward unless you can get that spell shield out early. And I am and Cheese are just going to go in here.
Oh, there's actually a really nice ult to come through. The Monsoon in follow-up here from T-Gun that heals up so much as Cheese so deep in this fight still has the Zhonya's. He can go gold if he feels like. There it is, the Golden Bird Christmas trees. For all that tankiness is dead, and Brawler, oh my goodness, gets altered from JK Smithy, trying to help out. Zahi does fall down, Nevermove not going to find a target. Brawler, he's going to fall down. Apap's forced out, and he's the last man standing. Immunity really laying the hammer down.
And you can see what happens when Cheese is able to get free reign. Swain does unbelievable damage in these fights there, and that was a really clever fight by Immunity. And they're just going to go in for some base turrets now.
Yeah, 8,000 gold is the lead here for Immunity. Apap's the last man standing, wants to try and do something here. T-Gun completely out of mana, might be a target here for this Kassadin, but he's not that sneaky. And when you've got like a comparison Rod of Ages here at 7 stacks in comparison to 10, oh man, you just can't feel good to be that Kassadin in the mid lane who was just counterpicked here by Cheese, because Apap's a fantastic player in his own right, just couldn't stand up to the pressure of this champion.
Yeah, and Pink Boomy, to his credit, did try and get in there for countering, so Zahi was on top of it, and Cheese just played way too aggressively for either the jungle or the mid to have enough impact in that lane, and the CS that he has gotten is incredible on this Swain. 7-2 and 5 there as well. He's what, 70, 80 CS ahead still of Apaps, and the item differential is insane. Forget the gold right now, just looking at their inventories, the fact that Cheese is not just a Zhonya's up over the Zhonya's, sorry, over the Nisila, plus has the stack Rod of Ages and the Sork Shoes, it's massive here. And Zaya's actually going in for a 1v1.
Yeah, he's actually fighting Amphamoon here. Does have that locker completed, which he popped. There's the Cataclysm and picks up the kill. Beautiful play. He may pay for it with his life, but he's going to say, yep, I 1v1 there to carry. I got this.
Yeah, good bit of gold. They're going over to Apex. Very cute use of the locket there as well by Zaya to make sure he was able to survive. But when Jarvan's doing that sort of damage, when he's basically gone full tank, not even that, just utility items here, Corky's having some struggle. He really needs to finish a second item.
Yeah, and 50 CS in the jungle here is the lead for Zahi. So he's been really utilizing that Trailblazer. Of course, it was followed up by the Chilling Smite coming out of a Pink Bomi, but hasn't really been able to translate it. He's got a decent scoreline here, but Zahi's just been farming.
Yeah, and JK Smithy may be the one that suffered in his particular lane. Aurelia's actually very far ahead in that particular matchup in terms of CS, but it doesn't really matter. JK Smithy really just needs to sponge damage and be a tank. He has a gauntlet for a bit of extra CC as well. As long as he does his job and gets on the right targets and initiates fights, that's all Immunity need him to do.
Speaking of initiating fights, on the Hunt's being popped, Brawler gets caught by that Nevermove as Cheese gets kicked out, but he's just going to run straight back in. Look at how fast this bird is. It's Amphamoon. He's got a target on his head, and it's going to be Uberbro picking up the kill under Leona because Swain did not care, just wanted to follow after that AD carry.
I mean, you mentioned what the strat would be for Sudden Fear against that Swain plus Civic combo. It was run away there.
Yeah.
Sudden Fear didn't want anything to do with that particular fight there. Immunity going to rotate in for their second dragon now as well. And you can see the power of that Swain. Cheese, when they're on the hunt goes, he just has nothing to worry about.
Oh no, and going to be picking up this Abyssal Scepter next item. I'm so excited for this because it has so much synergy with Swain's kit.
Yeah, I mean, he's already going to be in range with the Sivir ticking up. He does so much more damage with the magic reduction that item does, and it even helps him clear waves faster by reducing the minion's magic resist. So this item does so much for this pick. It's super cost efficient. You already saw how much damage and how hard it is for them to kill Cheese. He's even harder to kill now.
Oh yeah, and it's even going to be amplifying JK Smithy's damage as he comes through with that unstoppable force. Really fantastic pickup to come through relatively soon. The teleport from Christmas trees, they want to try and make a play here. Nevermove's going to get popped. I don't know whether they want to engage on this golden bird as T-Gun's going to fall down. Solar Flare gets the slow, but Zahi's in here as well. Enfermoon forced to flash away. Torment picks up the kill though. Here's the rest of Sudden Fear. They're trying to go into Cheese, who's out of mana. This might be their opportunity to take him down. The bird finally falls. And Apex picks up the kill.
Yes, Sudden Fear did a really good job getting in when they knew JK Smithy had already teleported. He is pressuring the top side of the map now, but Sudden Fear won that fight very handily, and it's unfortunate this one without a blue front out of the map, but they're going back in.
Yeah, Uber Bros found his way back into the fight here as Apex forced to use that flash as well. On the hunt, giving Uber Bros so much movement speed. The auto attack for the double kill. And where was Uber Bro in that last fight?
I mean, he just came a little too late to the last party, but, you know, he kind of gets there in the end. Make sure he does eventually arrive and see his friends. And unfortunately, over Sudden Fear, didn't really want that. That's going to give JK Smithy what looks like a free turret in towards the top side. He's at least going to get the turret. Not too afraid of Lee Sin. He's just happy to commit. Make sure he takes. Oh, good kick, though.
Oh, yeah. Enfermoon managing to stop this one from coming through. Picking up a nice kill for himself as well. Grabs the shutdown gold. As the Iceborne Gauntlet actually was picked up from JK Smithy. Interesting.
I mean, it adds a good CC. It's got good armor there as well. So it's a very strong Malphite item in general. I think he realizes that he just wants to lock people down more. It synergizes very well with how Sivir and Swain want to be playing this game. And if he doesn't threaten any of the carries that he jumps on at all, especially someone like Kassadin, he's a little too useless. But obviously with all this armor, his job is kind of just to distract Enfermoon.
Oh, yeah. And now Cheese is actually a full Abyssal Scepter and that Amplifying Tome ahead of his lane opponent in Apex. So things looking fantastic if you're a Cheese fan. Apex looking to scale through into this game, of course. Now that Rod of Ages has completed. Kassadin huge in the later stages of the game, but is it too little, too late for Sudden Fear because they're behind 11,000 gold.
I mean, it might be. Pap still can't really deal with this win. In fact, no one from Sudden Fear really can. We saw that he had to run out of mana for anything to matter, and Cheese is just chasing down the lane.
Yeah, he's just walking through, never moving some creeps. As Immunity going to find a pink foamy here. He can't safeguard out, can't find the targets. As Uber Bro just going to come through, doesn't even bother auto-attacking because he doesn't want an assist. That's not what he's about.
Yeah, and more stacks there for Tegan for the Magi. So going to pick up a few that he's lost there as well. But Pink Bomi just got completely caught out on the wrong side of the jungle there. Immunity, so much control over the top side, they're going to go in for Baron.
Yeah, transferring over to this Baron, and look at the damage on these Immunity members. Able to use that Laser Bird and the Torment as well for so much Baron damage because consistent damage, that's how you take him down. And Swain, if there's any champion for that, he's definitely a good option. As On the Hunt actually gets popped. Brolo is going to be the focus here as Cheese just wants to kill this Leona over and over again. And oh my goodness, Sudden Fear explode at the hands of Immunity. Cheese has come round. He's found Enfermoon, who's getting torn apart by the Torment. He may actually have that. Oh, no, he doesn't. He is definitely dead.
I mean, you can dodge an Evermove, but you're not dodging any of the other spells there. And Immunity, just take the 4 clean kills. Pink Bomi can get in for a steal, but Sudden Fear opted into a 4v5 against the Swain that they probably couldn't beat 5v5 anyway. And if Pink Bomi steals this, that might be good, but he's not going to get there in time. In fact, Cheese, just like it did in the last fight, running incredible zoning defense.
Yeah, 10, 3, and 7 now on this Swain. Had a huge performance from the mid lane. Looking fantastic, and Cheese really fitting in now with the Immunity lineup, able to play his comfort champions in a way that the old Soul Shell Chuffer used to win their games as.
Yeah, and he's got a Void Stuff now as well, so combining that with the Abyssal Scepter, that's an obscene amount of damage coming out of this Swain. Again, no one from Sudden Fear has been able to do anything about the Swain yet, and it's not getting any better. He has so much gold in this game.
It's ridiculous. Almost 100 CS in the leaders. T-Gun and Uber Bro just going to shove out these waves, and if Sivir can do anything, it's shove waves.
Yeah, now that the Bloodthirst has been picked up as well, especially Uber Bro, going to feel pretty safe against kind of a weakened Kassadin here in this particular game. Got plenty of Janna Shield as well. I'm sure T-Gun's getting the Magi stacks going as well. And the waves just melt here. No Last Whisper needed because Cheese just does plenty of magic damage by himself. He's the one that Sudden Fear are mostly worried about. So Uber Bro can go full damage here and feel great about it.
Oh yeah, he doesn't need to worry about being focused whatsoever, nor does he need to worry about that Last Whisper because all Sudden Fear need is some magic resist to try and stop the onslaught of Cheese, who takes no damage from Nexus turrets. And they're just pushing through. There's On the Hunt, a 3-man Unstoppable Force, 3-man knock-up, 3-man Cataclysm. This is ridiculous from Immunity. Nevermove doesn't find the target, but Sudden Fear have to get back to their fountain.
Yeah, and Cheesy just tanking everyone still. Zahi's going to force Christmas trees to fly, and this might just be the game off that play.
Yeah, the laser bird to come through as well. The Monsoon saying, go home, Sudden Fear, as Immunity are tearing apart this Nexus. Beautiful play, and fantastic to see Immunity back in their comfort zone.
We finally saw the Wombo combo there. Didn't really need it in towards, except for the end of that last fight there. But again, they had a great game. Didn't really need to team fight. Most of the lanes went well, with the exception of JK Smithy. And again, especially in that last fight, just did his job.
Yep, that was basically the Swain. Let's be honest. I mean, Cheese on that comfort champion, taking advantage of a good lane matchup. And you give him the opportunity to pick Swain, he's going to take it. And let's have a look at a replay, ladies and gentlemen, see how Immunity did this.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling I'm going to be following Cheese here in this fight. So let's roll this clip out. Oh my god, this play. So this is the
so
1v3 that came through. So again, Pink Burmy goes in. Great knock up there again. Actually did mini-stun Paps into the wall. Tiga mini-stuns Pink Burmy again. Heals Cheese just a little bit. And then Lee Sin, there's nothing he can do. Now Paps going to dive in the exhaust, like you mentioned, going down as well. Gives Cheese just enough time to live. The double NATO also buying him enough time. And pretty much everything that happened here was cooldowns coming off precisely. And Cheese's blue buff, just making sure that he never felt in trouble. As long as he didn't die, this is what happens. And that 1v2, Cheese was already in the driver's seat once that happened. That put them well and truly ahead of the game.
Yeah, and it was beautiful trust between the mid laner and support. And Cheese hasn't been on that lineup for all that long. It was not like that long ago since Claire left the team, and Cheese already able to play with such synergy with T-Gun. So much trust here as well to know that they could stay in these fights. It was beautiful to see.
And it's funny as well, we talk about Janna as a peel support. She's not usually peeling for a Swain, but that's actually what worked out in that last little clip, and it worked out beautifully for Immunity.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more matchup for you today. It is, in fact, going to be Avant-Garde taking on Team Immunity, and we'll see whether Team Immunity can come through with another dominating performance or whether Avant-Garde can bounce back after a difficult game.